many other places to visit in Spain. All of them are of immense beauty and incredible things. But there is one small city that will surprise you. Its architecture, its culinary offerings, and the fact that it is an unknown city even to the Spanish people makes this town a gem in the heart of Spain. We are talking, of course, about the city of Teruel. Teruel receives only 150,000 tourists a year, which compared to cities like Zaragoza, Toledo or Segovia is a very low number, and this will make your stay here even more pleasant. Teruel is considered the Mudejar city of Spain. The singularity of this art makes it a unique manifestation in the West. The coexistence of different peoples in the medieval Spain bore fruit in the construction of different civil and religious buildings, with a spectacular fusion between structural and ornamental elements of the Romanesque and Gothic with the brick lace and arches of the Taifa and Almohad world. The first thing you should probably visit when you come to Teruel is the Mausoleum of the Lovers of Teruel, probably the most famous love story in Spain. The story of the lovers of Teruel is one of the most romantic as well as tragic legends of Spain. It is set in the 13th century and tells of the impossible love between two young people, Isabel de Segura and Juan Martínez de Marcilla. The veracity of this story is supported by the appearance in 1555 of the mummies buried in the chapel of San Cosme and San Damian, which we'll see in the Church of San Pedro, and the subsequent testimony of the notary Yagüe de Salas. The official documents can be found in the Provincial Historical Archive of Teruel. Currently, the mummies lie under the statue sculpted by Juan de Ábalos. The symbol of impossible love that the sculptures reflect is that the hands never touch each other in the earthly world, only in the shadows. As I mentioned before, the Mudejar complex of San Pedro is adjacent to the Mausoleum of the Lovers of Teruel, and is the second thing you should visit. The Church of San Pedro was built in the 14th century and is categorized by the fusion of the Christian and Islamic elements, and with distinctive features of the Aragonese Mudejar. It responds to the ideology of churches with a single nave with a polygonal apse and beautiful chapels on the side, among which the chapel of San Cosme and San Damian stands out. Attached to the church is the cloister of San Pedro, one of the 4 Mudejar cloisters that are still preserved in Aragon. Here the bodies of the lovers of Teruel rested before they were moved to the mausoleum. The Cathedral of Teruel, and the third thing you should visit in the city, also known as the Cathedral of Santa Maria de Mediavilla, is a masterpiece of Mudejar art. The cathedral is accessed through the modernist facade made at the beginning of the 20th century. The Cathedral Tower, also in Mudejar style, is an architectural landmark with its brick and glazed ceramic structure, which produces a fantastic visual effect. Inside, one of the most impressive elements is the wooden ceiling. It is considered the jewel of the cathedral and completely covers the central nave of the 13th century and represents religious and everyday scenes considered a systematic and original repertoire of knowledge of the time. The main altarpiece is a magnificent work by the French sculptor Gabriel Joly dating from the 16th century. It is the central piece and of great artistic value. Its detailed wood carvings narrate scenes from the life of Christ and of the Virgin Mary, and that receives the light from an imposing dome. The cathedral chapels, adorned with frescoes and altars, offer a tour of various artistic styles ranging from Gothic to Renaissance and Baroque. One of the chapels that attract the most attention is the Chapel of the Immaculate Conception. It dates back to the 18th century thanks to the fact that Bishop Pérez Prado had built it. In the center of the altarpiece we can find the work of the sculptor Francisco Moya. There appears a beautiful image of the Virgin flanked by San Joaquin and Santa Ana. The great emblems of the city are its Mudejar Towers, built in brick and with a Christian structure. All of them have been declared World Heritage Sites by UNESCO. The best known tower is the Torre de San Martín. It was built in the 14th century and it is located next to the Church of San Martín. It was listed in 1986 as the World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Equally important is the Tower of San Pedro, which is located within the Mudejar complex of San Pedro. This construction reflects a slender and colorful tower. The third tower is that of San Salvador. It is the latest of the Mudejar of Teruel. The fourth tower belongs to the bell tower of the cathedral and is the oldest tower of all. The Plaza de Torico is the fifth thing to visit in Teruel, and it's the vibrant heart of Teruel and an emblematic meeting point for both residents and visitors. In the center of the square is the famous statue of Torico. The bull, which is only 45 centimeters but weighs 55 kilograms, is the symbol of the city. The square is a beautiful example of Teruel architecture and it is surrounded by modernist and neo-Mudejar style buildings. In this porticoed square is the most important gastronomic point of the city. Surrounded by terraces, this is the ideal place to enjoy the best delicacies of the land, like the jamón de Teruel or the Aragonese migas. The Escalinata de Teruel, or better known as the Escalinata del Óvalo, is an oval-shaped staircase built between 1920 and 1921 to bridge the gap between the Aragon Central Railway Station and the old town of the city. It is based on three well-differentiated segments of work, coupled together by two shallow places. This work was done by the Teruel engineer José Torán de Larad and was declared a site of cultural interest, and it is a monument of the city. The last thing to visit in Teruel is the Acueducto de los Arcos, or the Arch Aqueduct. Also known as Traída de las Aguas, it is the aqueduct of the city of Teruel and is one of the most relevant engineering works of the Spanish Renaissance. Although it has an incredible medieval beauty, its character was functional, bringing water to the fountain of the Plaza del Torico and from here distributing it to the citizens. Strolling through the streets of Teruel is a charming experience that evokes a mixture of nostalgia, admiration and serenity. Walking on its cobbled streets and alleys, one feels history alive in every corner. The facade of the buildings, with their Mudejar and modernist architecture, transport you to another era where every detail tells a story of love, improvement, coexistence and of course, culture. My name is Alex Moraras. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, share and definitely subscribe to find out more amazing places to visit before you come to Spain.